It was a frigid March 5th, 1770 in Boston, where the recent killing of an 11-year-old named Christopher Cedar had left the city raw with grief and fury. See, just 11 days earlier, on February 22nd, a crowd of protesters, many of them boys and apprentices, had gathered outside the store of Theophilus Lilly, where there was a customs agent who was widely despised, a British informer and enforcer of the hated import duties, and his name was Ebenezer Richardson. So they taunted him. They had a sign, called him informant, and he got really mad. He ran back to his house, and as they're throwing snowballs at him, he fired a gun into the crowd and he killed little Christopher. And Christopher's death became an instant martyrdom. His massive funeral on February 26 drew thousands, with schoolboys marching in solemn procession. It was a powerful demonstration, and it was orchestrated by patriot leaders like Samuel Adams. And the outrage over the customs official gunning down a little boy primed Boston for an explosion. And that explosion came on March 5th, when that anger boiled over on King Street. So what happened? Well, a crowd of colonists, restless and some of them armed with snowballs, dirt, sticks, surrounded a lone British sentry outside the customs house. And their taunts turned into hurling snowballs, and the sentry called for aid. So Captain Thomas Preston hurried over with 8 more soldiers, muskets loaded, bayonets fixed. They formed a defensive line as the mob surged closer, shouting insults, daring the troops to fire, and pelting them. In the swirling chaos of snow and shouts, one soldier was reportedly knocked down, and shots rang out. 5 colonists lay dead or dying. Their names were Crispus Attucks, Samuel Gray, James Caldwell, Samuel Maverick, and Patrick Carr. 6 more were wounded. Paul Revere's widely circulated engraving soon portrayed the scene as a deliberate slaughter. Disciplined redcoats gunning down unarmed innocents. The city branded it the Boston Massacre. The royal authorities, though, demanded trials, not mob justice. Captain Preston and the 8 soldiers faced murder charges. In patriot-strong Boston, few lawyers dared to defend them. Until John Adams, a principled, 34 at the time-year-old attorney, and cousin, of course, to the radical Samuel Adams. He stepped up, and he was joined by Josiah Quincy Jr. Adams believed the law must stand above passion. He took the cases to ensure a fair hearing, risking his reputation and practice in the town that was still mourning little Christopher, and they were ready to condemn the British troops outright. But 2 trials unfolded, one in the fall and one in the winter. First, Captain Preston's, which was October 23rd through 30th. Evidence was muddled on whether he ordered the firing, but the jury ended up acquitting him. And then the soldiers' trial, which was November 27th through December 5th. Witnesses described a menacing crowd pressing in, threats of violence, objects flying, enough to instill reasonable fear of death or grave harm. Adams argued self-defense under English common law. Men in peril could protect their lives. In his closing address over 2 days, Adams spoke plainly and forcefully. Facts are stubborn things, and whatever may be our wishes, our inclinations, or the dictates of our passion, they cannot alter the state of facts and evidence. Adams invoked the principle that it is better many guilty escape than one innocent suffer, drawing on legal authorities to urge the jury towards evidence and not prejudice. And the verdict came. 6 soldiers were fully acquitted, but 2 of them, Hugh Montgomery and Matthew Kilroy, were convicted only of manslaughter, branded on the thumb, which was a symbolic punishment, and released. John Adams paid the price. Cold shoulders in the streets, a dip in clients, but he stood by his choice. And later he called defending the soldiers one of the proudest acts of his life, proof that even in revolutionary times, justice must be blind to popularity. And in that tense courtroom, amid the echoes of those fatal shots, the fresh memory of a child's death, John Adams helped affirm a core idea of American exceptionalism that would later be written into our Bill of Rights. That a free society endures only when the rule of law protects everyone, even those the crowd most despises. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and stay free.